or that sounds hard, or God, I don't want, that seems uncomfortable. Most of the time, the things that I think are going to be uncomfortable are not really that uncomfortable and often, yield great rewards.
Welcome to 10 Minute Travels. With me, as always, is Phil Freeman.
And with me, as always, is Shane Patrick. And we have with us Charles Fleming, adventurer, journalist, motorcyclist. And if you want to learn anything more about 10 Minute Travels or what we do, check out 10minutetravels.com.
Let's get right to it, shall we?
What's one of your top motorcycle experiences, travel experiences, and why? One that sings out to you that it brought you to a place you didn't know you were going to go, but or it might have been the destination.
I had that kind of experience both riding with you that time in Hokkaido, and I've had it riding in Iceland, because in both of those cases I found myself in mind-blowing landscapes, riding or stopping in places that I did not know they existed, whether it was the snowier peaks in Hokkaido or the hot vents on the landscape in Hokkaido, or in Iceland, the riding on a glacier, riding on volcanic black sand for mile after mile, the crazy coastline there, like the crazy coastline in Hokkaido, the amazing changing weather. You're warm and then you're cold and then you're dry and then you're wet and then it starts all over again. I find that stuff really, really thrilling. Sometimes not very comfortable at the time, but really thrilling. I recall, for example, one of the most sublime days on that trip that we did to Hokkaido together was the day that we had stopped and we were going to, I think, spend 2 nights in a hotel, because we were going to spend a day in between at a spa, at a onsen, hot springs, etc. And nobody wanted to ride to the place because it was wet and it was likely to rain. And I said, "You're all weenies. I can't believe it. We came here to ride motorcycles. What do you mean you're going to go in a bus? You guys, come on. What are you going to go in cars for?" So I rode, and it was horrible. Like, it was so cold and it was so unbelievably wet. And I felt like such a chump because but I felt like I had to make a point. Like, we're not sissies here. We're motorcyclists. We're going to ride in Japan. We're not going to get in a bus. So I got to the hot springs and I was so uncomfortable. I'm soaked to the skin, freezing cold. So my experience of the hot springs was better than anyone else's, because I got out of a terrible, cold, freezing, wet environment and into the delight of a beautiful onsen. So that was actually, and then I got back on the bike and rode home and was super uncomfortable and got home and then got comfortable again. So that for me was really a heightened experience day, because it was such extremes, and because I felt like such an idiot. So it's a memorable day for me. It had everything, the mental and the physical, all together.
And street cred. Yeah.
That's some street cred. I think everybody else thought I was a jerk. Not, I don't think anybody admired me for that. I think they all just thought, "What a joker." It's his problem. But
Well,
there've been so many. I've spent so much time motorcycling in the desert and in the dirt, and so many times lost, and so many times injured, and so many times overwhelmed. And so, I don't believe that whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because sometimes what doesn't kill you just puts you in a hospital for a long time, or in pain for a long time. So there is that option as well. But there is something about going out and being challenged and meeting the challenge and surviving the challenge that I think makes a person feel a little bit more alive. I believe in facing your fears and doing the thing that's scary. One of a thinker and teacher that I admire a lot is a Buddhist nun called Pema Chodron, and she one of the things she talks about is comfort zone, and how if I'm obsessed with my comfort zone and I want to make sure I'm comfortable all the time, my comfort zone will get really, really little because I will be continually trying to eliminate anything that bothers me at all. And if, on the other hand, I'm willing to push on the outer edges of my comfort zone is going to get bigger because I'll discover I can do this, or I can discover, well, that's not that bad, or whatever it is, I can discover that it's all right to be uncomfortable in the world. And that, in fact, there's value in being uncomfortable in the world, at least for as long as it takes to get comfortable in the world. Because then you discover, well, I can snowboard, or I can ride in the rain, or I can learn to scuba dive at
Oh,
70.
well,
You know,
those first 2 blocks you walked and you were in such pain, that was uncomfortable. And it led to how many miles can you walk at a time now? Amazing.
probably more than I want to. Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for not listening to your mind when it says, no, I can't do that. Or that sounds hard, or God, I don't want that seems uncomfortable. Most of the time, the things that I think are going to be uncomfortable are not really that uncomfortable, and often, yield great rewards.
So, what's next, Charles? Where do you want to go where's your next adventure that you're really looking forward to that might put you in an uncomfortable lens?
Well, I'm going to go scuba dive in Cozumel at the end of this month, and celebrate my wife's birthday with her in Oaxaca, where we're going to meet up with some friends of hers. So that's not that challenging. That's not that weird. But I also then am going to do what sounds like a very difficult ride with some people in Texas in April. And I'm cooking up a couple of things for next summer that are going to be possibly challenging and weird. I haven't ridden in New Zealand. I haven't ridden in Morocco. Um, I'm really liking the long distance thing. I want to go back to South America. I want to be invited on a Phil Freeman Friends ride. So I have all kinds of plans. I got all kinds of ideas.
When you say
And
long distance, what do you mean?
well, I really like, especially when it's kind of off road. I really like the packing your stuff and just going from one town to another town. I love being on pavement. I did this, there's a famous ride. It used to be a race called LA Barstow Vegas. It used to be a dirt race. Uh, and it's no longer a dirt race, but it is an annual ride that they do. And it's a 2-day ride. And they do it, unfortunately, on Thanksgiving weekend. And I don't want to be away from my family on Thanksgiving weekend, so I've never done it. But then it suddenly occurred to me, well, what if we just did the ride to do the ride? Like, never mind be there when there are 700 other people falling down in the dirt and making dust and, making a nuisance of themselves. How about if we just did it? And so we did 2 days of ride a lot of really hard miles in the dirt and then end up at a nice hotel in the nighttime, and then get up the next day and ride a lot of really hard miles in the dirt and wind up at a nice hotel in the nighttime. Like, that to me, that's just heavenly. That's like nothing better than to have those two high contrasts. Again, it's like back to the rain and the hot springs. Uh, to do something really challenging and uncomfortable during the day, and then at night you have a nice meal and stay in a nice hotel. Like, that's to me, that's the dream come true. So
Agreed.
I'm cooking up a variety of those. I'll take suggestions.
Well, I'll start thinking of some. I'm sure I'll find something.
Plus, as you know, I have enjoyed many transporter specials through MotoQuest, and so I'm always keen to see about that, especially to go someplace that I haven't gone yet.
There's nothing quite like that solitude, is there? When you don't really know how far you're going to go that day. You don't know when you're going to start. You don't know exactly where you're going to go. That, I don't know if you could bottle that.
Yeah, there's a certain freedom, I guess, that comes with having everything answered and having no questions or confusion. So you have your house paid for, you have your bills all paid, you know what you're going to have for dinner tonight and tomorrow night and tomorrow night and tomorrow night. Like, I guess there's a sort of a freedom in that, in not having to worry about the future, but there's a whole other kind of freedom in having no answers. and then having no plans and knowing only, well, I don't know, we're going to start out in the morning and I guess we're going to go that way, and then we'll see. Like, that's a different kind of freedom, and a pretty delectable one for me. I like the not knowing. I like the surprise around every corner.
You found another person who thinks type 2 is the best kind of fun, Phil.
Uh-oh. Yeah, it's not the only kind of fun. I mean, it also helps that that I have a wife whom I adore, and a house that I love, and a dog that I love, and two daughters that I love, and a grandson that I love, and that there's this extremely pleasant and orderly world to come back to. If I only had I don't know what's next, lone driver, lone rider, lone wanderer, I'm not sure that it would feel quite as delicious to have that kind of freedom if I also didn't have the other stuff.
That was Charles Fleming, journalist, adventurer, walker. And if you want to learn anything else about 10-minute travels or whatever we do, check out 10minutretravels.com.
And we want to remind you to make sure your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure. And please like, subscribe, and share this podcast on all the platforms.